Hello, it's Spence, the evil genius, with your WordPress tip of the day. Guys, today I've got a long anticipated video. I have to admit to you, this is one of the things that just happens when you're growing a business based on training. It's constantly being updated. Back in 2013, around Christmas time, I made a video, create and display custom user profile fields in WordPress. And it was made under the original 1WD color scheme and so forth, and it's gotten pretty popular. It was about 18,000 views, at least insofar as our videos are concerned. And it was posted over here inside of our quick tips as a follow-up. I have received more emails about, Spence, where's part two? Where's part two? Hey, I want to join. Where's part two? Than almost anything else I've done. So today I'm going to take you into the journey into step 2. And because there's been a time delay, you guys win. Because now I've got more useful information, more concentrated, and I'm going to show you more use cases than just in WooCommerce. So if you're ready, let me at least bring you up to speed. If you didn't follow the first video, what I showed is how to basically do what we do at 1WDTV, which was create a custom dashboard. Right now, at the time that I made the first video, we were using WooCommerce. Now we're using Paid Memberships Pro. I'm going to show you for both. It really makes no difference. At the time I made the video, WordPress was an earlier version and there were certain limitations on what you could do. Now those limitations aren't here. And then finally, I'm going to show you multiple methods because as far as how you display this, you can always display it in a child theme template, or you can display it using hooks and filters, which are my favorite combination. And one of the reasons why our system is so powerful, because unlike other things that are based on, let's say, Thesis or Genesis, where most of the machination is done only with functions, we show you how to do it both ways. Makes it much easier for you, I think, as a beginner, and even as an expert, it makes it, you have more options. I'm going to show you all those. As a bonus, I'm going to show you a plugin that I'm going to give you for free that's going to make this so simple your head is going to spin. And finally, I just want to bring you up to speed in case you're wondering, 1WDTV has continued, but we're no longer affiliated with First Web Designer, haven't been for a long time. Our color scheme's different. We're now at 1WD.TV, and with more than 12,000 members down the stream, as students, we've got a lot of experience, tons of content, and we've made it really simple to join because now you can join us for free, take a $7 course, or join in and get everything we have for 97 bucks, which includes everything, including 16 grand of software, all of the stuff that we teach, over 300 lessons, all of the quick tips, all the webinars, all the hangouts, all the archives of those, and so on. And so the idea is, if you're going to actually see some value in the video today, you're getting just a taste of what's available inside. And the idea is, if you can't make multiple times 97 bucks from what I'm going to teach you today by following our other advice, you probably shouldn't be a freelancer. It's really a strong statement. I know some people will hate it, but I'm just going to say it. Okay, what are we talking about? So the idea is, over here at 1WDTV, we have a fancier version of this. Again, a lot of it is just the same. It's just styled up. But when you log in as a free member, you'll see a dashboard. And when you go to your dashboard, we have various tabs, and it gives a member everything you could want. Everything from profile information, membership information, product information, custom downloads, favorites. And this kind of a thing is something that's useful regardless of what kind of membership site you have. Now, it does not matter whether you are using WooCommerce, or whether you're using Paid Memberships Pro, or whether you're using bbPress, or whether you're using BuddyPress, or whether you're using Easy Digital Downloads, or whether you're using any number of other things. Because what I'm going to show you today means you can put together a dashboard for anything, and it will allow you to basically do any variety of options you want just by piecing these components together. I'm also going to show you, instead of hard coding everything from scratch, which is one of the things that bugs me on the internet, everybody tries to build everything from scratch, I'm going to show you our Lego block mentality and system. And the reason for this is that we've tested this now for years on our own site. And I can guarantee you that by following this one or two simple shortcuts, you're going to go, oh, I cannot believe it was that simple. Okay? The goal for this video is, as promised at the end of the first video, to show you how to take the beginnings of a custom profile page. And again, I'm going to show you in here WooCommerce to start. This is WooCommerce, and then I'll apply it to the others to show you how you can customize this to add custom user fields and to have a custom dashboard. Now, okay, I'm not going to fool you and say I'm going to show you all the CSS of our version, but I think you can see that all the elements of this are applicable in what I show you now. So let me show you what it does first, then how I built it, and then how we can apply this in multiple different ways across whatever software you're already using. In a membership site, when you decide that you want to have an account page, WooCommerce gives you a template as part of the plugin, and that makes it easy because now you have a place, well, people are going to go anyway. And you can modify this template in a child theme, or you can modify this template programmatically using functions and filters and things of that nature. When you do that, you can add custom fields, and that is this area here. So I want you to focus on this first. We showed you at the end of the other video how to make a custom account page in WooCommerce. Now I want to show you how we can add a custom field that somebody can not only see either in their own profile or in some cases if you want to make it public, but they can also edit it. So here I've done so. I've added an H3, I believe, tag, H2 tag that says my custom contact methods. And in this case, I added a line that says, in case you're curious, I have a dog named Tintin. Now, Tintin is the name of a dog that I added into a custom profile field. So I'm demonstrating, first of all, that you can display the output of whatever the user is saved to their profile in this custom field or fields. And second of all, that you can give the person a really clean way to modify and edit their profile from the front end, instead of them going on the back end and modifying their profile here where you don't want them to be. We're going to modify it here. I should also point out at this stage that there are plugins available or extensions available that will keep people from ever getting to the back end, and I could recommend those highly. In fact, I would say that's a prerequisite, is you should probably put a snippet of code in that prevents people, once you've got one of these pages, from getting to the back end. Because instead, this is how they can edit their account. You'll give them a button like this, and now they've got a custom profile page which has everything they need, including, by the way, a new custom field, Tintin, that they can edit their field. They can even, in some cases, if you're using Paid Memberships Pro or otherwise, modify which membership level they are. Now, in this case, they're not going to get free membership. Don't worry. I'm an admin of this account, so I can see all of the levels. But in most cases, with Paid Membership Pro and other ones, you can always downgrade, right, for free. In any event, even if these options aren't available, the other standard metadata information is available, including your custom fields, like here, the dog's name. And just to prove a point, I'm going to change the dog's name to Lassie, update the profile. And when I go back to my account, you'll see I have a dog named Lassie. Okay, so this is a demonstrable proof that this method works. Now, I'm going to show you how I made this part happen, and then I'm going to extend it to show you how we can put it in other places. For example, what if I want to display this stuff in other plugins? Well, we talked about the idea that we could be using plugins like bbPress and so forth, and we already know that if I was to use bbPress, I'd have forums and so forth, and I could even use the bbPress widget that gives me a profile page. Kind of brings me back to this profile page that's a default from bbPress, and you'll notice it's kind of redundant here, but I've stuck the same information in here. Now I can even go further. As I'll show you, I can even add a shortcode and put it anywhere I want. So if I want to add, for example, a membership level here with that data, I could edit this page, and if I want it, I'll put in here a shortcode, and I'll call it lab custom fields. That's the shortcode. Update it. And when I view the page, I have the same information here. Okay, so I've just shown you 3 different plugins, 3 different locations, and I can display the same custom content field and also include links to modify my profile here, or just display my profile, again, from multiple places. All right, if you're with me so far, this gives me a lot of power. First things first, how is it we make it possible for a member to add a custom profile, I shouldn't say add a field, to add data to a custom profile field that we've designated? Well, the way you're going to do this is to add some functionality, and via a function or two, which are a set of instructions, you can make this magic real easy. But, you know, I'm not going to make you work that hard, right? So instead, what I've done is I've put together a plugin for you that's a universal plugin called the Lab Custom Profile Fields plugin. And it really just contains the code that you could also use inside of any place that will accept functions. So for example, if I wanted to do so, I wouldn't need to use a plugin. I could actually go into the child theme that I'm running, and I could go into the functions PHP file, and I can add the code here instead. Or if you're following us at 1WDTV, you could use our plugin called the Lab Functions plugin, in which case you could go to Appearance, Lab Functions, and you could add this code here. So there's 3 places the code could go. You could put it or keep it in the plugin format, which I've already done for you, so it's transportable. You can edit it at will, right? You could just go under Plugins, Editor, choose the plugin, the Lab Custom Profile Fields, and then edit the PHP here. Or if I wanted, I could take this same code snippet and I could put it inside Appearance, Editor, my child theme, and inside of the theme functions area. That's another way that's acceptable. Or finally, I can use the Lab Custom Functions or the Lab Functions plugin, in which case I could do this from the front end by going under Appearance, Lab Functions, and pasting the code here. You want to do one or the other or the other. You don't want to do all 3. I've made it easy for you. I've given you a plugin. And by the way, this is one of the benefits that when you join that $97, you get access to all of this software, right? So you're going to get this plugin. You're going to get also the mention that I just gave you, the Lab Functions plugin, and so forth. In fact, on this one, I'm going to give you the snippet for free, so don't worry about it. If you join for free at 1WDTV, you get all the snippets anyway, so you're not going to have to join us to get this, but I just want to show you these are the things that make all your life easier, right? We're trying to make this like Lego blocks for you. Okay, so now I know that I have a way to make this happen. How did I actually make it happen? Well, let's look at the code itself. I'm going to give you, for non-coders or coders alike, I'm going to give you just a quick introduction of how this works so that it's really simple for you. So we open up the Lab Custom Profile Fields plugin that I made for you, and let's analyze it. By the way, these are all open source software, so you can modify this, save it, make it your own, name it your own, share it, give it away, sell it, whatever you want to do. The beauty of WordPress is the software is free. The training, the experience, the community, the extra stuff, that's what you're ending up buying. But this particular plugin, like everything, is open source. We have a couple things going on. First of all, the primary reason that this works is that in the default WordPress user profile, there is an area called the contact methods. It is literally what they call an array. And an array in PHP or other programming language is literally a list. So there is something we'll call, it's a variable named user contact methods. And that is a list, an array of all kinds of things that you would expect inside of WordPress. So let's go take a look at it. If we go into the default user profile area, users, your profile, this is me actually, you'll see that here we go. There's an area called contact info, aka user contact methods. And it is an array, which is a list. And by default, it'll usually have email, website, maybe some other stuff. Depends on what plugins you're using. But generally, email, website. Because it's an array, they've made it pluggable. And as to say, you can apply a filter to the function that lists out these items. In other words, there's one thing is a list, that's the array, and another thing is that this is pluggable. In other words, it allows you to interact with it using what's called a filter. And think of this like, what would be a good example? Think of it like using your iPhone and you're using, let's say you take a snapshot and then you're using Instagram. So you take the picture, it's in your camera, and then you want to output it and send it to a friend. But before you do, you apply a filter. The 1970s filter, the black and white filter, the blurry edge, Gaussian filter, whatever. So that what the end user receives is a little different than what you started with. Think of the same thing here. The default contact info array or list has certain items in it, but we can apply a filter because they made it pluggable to check if there's something in there and to change it, add it, remove stuff, what have you. And here, that's what I've done. I've basically said, I want to add a new item into this list, into the array, and I'm going to call it my dog name. And let's walk through this. First thing is, I said I want to add a filter. Think of Instagram. And I want to filter this particular function, the one that's default, called user contact methods. And that's what normally outputs this stuff here. And the name of my function is today going to be called lab custom fields. And you'll notice it's highlighting the function here because first I've basically said I'm filtering something that exists and I'm going to filter it with my own function. So that's what the two parameters are. The first is the actual name of the function you want to filter, and the second is what's the name of your function that's going to have the instructions on how to do so. Next, we define the function and we use the name lab custom fields. And then what we want to do is make sure that we include the variable that we're going to affect, or the list or array, if you will, that we're going to affect. And this is actually a variable. Whenever you see a $, that means variable. And it's just a way for defining things. For example, if I have a nickname and it's Spence, my variable is Spence. My real name is Spencer Foreman from Chicago, Illinois. But my nickname, my variable name, could be $Spence. So now we're saying is we're going to basically have a function, and the variable that we're going to be affecting is the user contact methods. And now what we're doing is saying, here is a new variable with the parameter of my dog name, and the value of that is my dog name. In other words, the title that we're going to put on there is my dog name. And you can see that here. So the way it works out is it gives us a data field, but it allows us to pretty much put in what's going to be the title of this. All right. And this is just the format how this function works. So don't worry about why it's particularly set up this way. Just know this. Watch this. If I want to add a second variable with another field, let's call it my cat name. Okay. Just follow the same format. The first item is going to be no weird characters, only lowercase, only underscores. I believe this will work, but you cannot use a dash. You cannot use a number. Okay. And then this is plain text. Inside of the single quotes is plain text. If I was to save that, watch what happens. I bet you can guess, right? You're going to get another field. You do. Okay. My cat happens to be named Meow Meow. Meow Meow Kitty. That's from, I think, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Meow Meow Kitty. Okay, now we have two fields. You can do 100 items here. These are all custom fields. Now, if it were true that the user is going to go to their back end, well, you're done. You're great. Now, all you need to do is display it on the front end, right? So how do we display it? Well, I've given you 3 different displays here to choose from. And I'm doing this to give you an example. You really should modify this plugin and choose which way you want and where you want it and so forth, because there's also a dependency here. I did not put in any other custom coding to do what they call a conditional check to make sure you have the plugins active. So I'm making an assumption here that you do, and it probably won't break anything, but it might result in some odd behavior. So just understand, this is just the basis of how this works. I'm assuming you're going to go and take this farther. First thing that I did is I created a display function. And like before, I'm going to come back to this in a second. This function's purpose is to say, okay, now we've defined some new fields, and there may be some data in there that the user adds. And for right now, they're adding it on the back end. How are we going to display it? Well, let's do a couple things. First of all, we want to declare what's called a global variable. And we can see it's literal, global, and then the $ means variable, and that's for current user. And that is something that is a WordPress standard variable. It means, or a global variable, it means it's available across any page that you're working on or output that you're working on as long as you declare it in your function. And this is used so that you can access the information about who in particular is looking at their profile page. So for example, I want to know this is a person now looking at their profile and they're going to edit these fields. I need to know who is it that's looking at this particular field so that when I save the data, I save Meow Meow Kitty as the cat name to the right person. I need to know what their user ID is. And that's pretty much what's going on here. We're declaring a global variable, okay? And we're basically saying the user ID, this is a new variable we want to just create temporarily, should be set to the data that comes from the current user that we just called out of the database, okay? So the way this works without being a programmer is we declare a global variable, current user, which is sort of saying, hey, yo, database, we're going to need some info on whoever the current user is of this page. And next we say, okay, we're going to set our own variable temporarily called user ID. Can you, Mr. Database, Miss Database, set that variable equal to the value that you already have for the global current user ID for the ID parameter? Oops, and don't delete it. The ID being, you're going to get the ID from whoever this current user is, and we're going to set it to our new temporary variable. Why? Well, because we're going to use this. Next is we're going to close up PHP, because what we need to do now is we want to output some regular old HTML. And I've used this example before. When you're speaking PHP, everything's cool. It's like speaking Spanish or English. Start with whatever you want. If I'm speaking Spanish, PHP, and I all of a sudden switch across the border, got to speak English, I need to say, hey, slow down, turn off the PHP language for a second. I want to speak HTML. And then when I'm done, hey, yo, I got to go back to speaking Spanish again. And that's what I've done here. We're in a function, so it's PHP. I want to spit out some native HTML, and now I want to go back to PHP. And here the HTML is pretty straightforward. I just added it could have been anything. I called it my custom contact methods. I could call it my custom, let's actually do this, profile fields. And we can see on the front end, that will change all my outputs accordingly. And next I can put in whatever I want to say. Remember I said here, in case you're curious, I have a dog named Lassie. Well, let's do the same thing here. Let's duplicate this. I'm going to say I also have a cat named something. And now what we're going to do is change the PHP output, which is PHP echo get that user meta for this user ID. And I'm going to say I need the value for my cat name. So we have one for outputting the field data for dog name, one for cat name. Now let's refresh. And now we got both. I have two custom fields now. And just in case you just can't wait till I get there, watch. When I edit my account, of course, I can edit my dog name, my cat name, etc. Just like before. All right, so let's keep going. What else do we have here? Well, now I also say, I want to output those two buttons. And what do those two buttons do? Besides outputting the data, I want to have a way that I can build a custom profile page. Remember, we've talked about this before. I want to have the ability to put my own page together, much like I showed you that we did over here in the dashboard, and how even on the earlier video I had, I want to build a page that, lets me put whatever I want wherever I want it. And you'll notice that even here, if I want to edit my profile, I don't need to list all that junk here. I just want to have a button that links me out to a page where on the front end I can actually get to my profile stuff without having to go to the backside, just like here. So I can look at my profile or I can edit my profile, and it never has to go to the back. Well, how do I do that? This is an interesting point, and this is the big shortcut I was promising you. If you are building a membership site, I guarantee you 100%, at some point or another, you're going to need or want the features of bbPress. bbPress is a free plugin that creates forums or support type topics. We use it in a very customized way here at 1WDTV. We've stripped it down and we only have literally like 2 areas of it, but it allows people to basically do like a custom ticket system or share information and whatnot. It's extraordinarily powerful. But one of the best things it does is it gives you some tools like a built-in front-end editor page. And this is the part where I kind of shake my head, because last night when I was preparing for this video today, I was thinking, oh, I'll make this video and I'll show them how to build a custom profile page. And, WooCommerce actually built into it has the start of a custom page. Like here, if you click this link on the WooCommerce account page, they've got this page. But here's the problem. By default, WooCommerce, for some strange reason, has not extended itself natively into using the same data from the user meta area. And no matter what I did to modify this, it required me to put like a whole page of code together. And I kept thinking that's crazy, because there's no downside to putting bbPress in place. So the plugin you want is called bbPress. If we look at it here, you'll see it's bbPress. Okay, and if you want to know more about it, you can view the details. It's at bbpress.org. It's something I've been using literally since it first came out, and it's got so many uses. It's incredible. But right now, understand, even if you don't need a forum, you can install bbPress, and it interacts with the user profiles in such a way that you get a bridge to the back-end user profile that will display on the front without any hassle. So that now you can build pages like this that allow you to click and display a person's profile or edit their profile and build any kind of custom layout you want. I'm going to show you that all today. It's going to be this crazy jumbo video post. Okay, so you're going to need, I should say you want, and you're going to need bbPress. That ties into what I want to show you here. So for these 2 buttons, I'm using special functions that link natively to the profile output from bbPress. The first button here is PHP BBP user profile URL, and then get the current user ID. This is very similar to this here, get the user metadata user ID. This is similar. It's saying get the bbPress user profile URL, so it'll automatically direct you to the page that is output by bbPress, and do it for this particular user here. And we repeat that a second time. Instead, we say now BBP go to the user profile edit URL, and again do it for this person here. And you can change the labels, and if you want to, you can even get fancy, and you can put those so that you can use the code styling localization, and you can automatically translate it. And that's easy to do, but I'm just showing you the basics. And then remember, I closed up my HTML. Now, why did I do this? Well, I did this so that you can see that we have all the elements here that you need. We have the ability to add as many new user profile fields as we want to the back end, but that those are not only added to the back end, they can also be displayed on the front end if we use the bbPress plugin without any extra code at all. Look at how ridiculously short this code is. I mean, your mom could do this today. Otherwise, you'd need pages and pages of code, and it was crazy because this is just too easy. And you get the upside benefit of, hey, if you want to do other stuff with the bbPress, great. Now, you can display this multiple ways, and here's where I'm going to take you to that area. Remember, I've talked about in other videos how you can use modifications to a template file and include it in your child theme. That's one way to do it. Or you can use actions and hooks. And that's another way. A third way is shortcodes. I'm going to show you that as well. Okay, let's start with the first way to do it. If I wanted to do so, I can modify any template to build my custom page. So I'm showing you 3 different places. Here's an example. This is WooCommerce, their My Account page. If I want to stick this information somewhere in this page, the first step is identifying which template WooCommerce is using to build this. If I wanted to make a forum page or something, I could build it here. If I wanted to do it on a standard paid memberships pro membership level page, I can do it here. When I'm doing it by way of the actual child theme and a template method, I simply need to identify, number 1, what template I want to add the stuff to. And that's easy because whenever I'm working with a plugin, I'm going to show you the 3 that I've just shown you, they will always have a template that you can copy from the plugin to your child theme. So for WooCommerce, if I go into the WooCommerce plugin, inside is a folder called, I did that fast, called Templates. Inside the Templates is another folder called My Account. This holds all the templates that will modify things like the My Account page. And you'll even see inside here, hey, wow, look at that. There's actually a template page, My Account PHP. So what I would do is I would simply duplicate this, and then when I've duplicated, I will drag it back over to WP Content, Themes, and then I will go to the child theme that I just had created before. I'm using my lab responsive child theme, and sure enough, I add a new folder called WooCommerce. Inside of it, a new subfolder, just like the plugin has, called My Account, and inside that, one of the files I've copied is My Account. It's very important that you duplicate the name of the plugin and the subfolder as well as the file, because the directory tree must be the same inside your child theme as it is for the plugin. And when you do this, the child theme copy is now controlling the parent. Let me prove it to you. If I open it up, I've got whatever I need here, but watch. I can make a big old crazy H1. Woohoo! I'm modifying the account page. Okay, craziness, right? But if I go back over here and refresh the My Account page, there you go. Okay, we've got the title that comes from WordPress. Now we got the very top of the template for the My Account page, and then we got everything else. So if I wanted to, I could simply add the junk that I want directly into the child theme template. So let me remove that and let me go back over to, remember we had the output over here? If I wanted to do so, I can just display this output directly. I can just take this same block of code and I could put it right into a child theme. I mean, I would probably do something like putting a division around it. So I'd say division ID equals lab custom fields. That way I can style it with CSS, maybe have a little control over if I'm displaying it all the time. But when I save that, I'll put the word wrap on. Now we can see I'm going to have a duplicate, but that's okay. I'm going to show at the top one copy, and then at the bottom the one that was already there by the plugin. And now you see it. See, my custom profile fields, then we got the rest of the template, and then here's where I outputted it, my second method. Before I leave the template method, let me explain to you. This applies globally. So any template that I want to, I can modify this way. Let me go all the way back to the beginning. For example, if I look at Paid Memberships Pro, WP Content plugins, Paid Memberships Pro, they have a similar template thing, but it doesn't say template, it says pages. And inside of that is the account PHP. I can also put it on the levels page or the invoice page or whatever. But if I choose the account page, that's cool because that's going to be the main account page. Whichever template I want to add this stuff to, I would just duplicate it, move it over. Now again, just like with WooCommerce, I have to have the same directory tree structure. So for this, if I moved it over, I would need to do the Paid Memberships Pro. So it would have to be Paid Memberships Pro and then Pages. Okay. Now let me show you one last one while I'm here. If I wanted to modify, for example, we're going to modify a regular old page template, not just through a plugin. Well, if I went into the parent theme, responsive, let's say I wanted to add this content anytime I was using a full width page template, or on the front page. That's a good one because that's a custom page. Or I want to add this in the footer of every page, or the header, etc. All I do is I make a duplicate of these template files and I move them over into the child theme, and then I modify them to add whatever I want, including that snippet of code. Next, let's talk about the second method, which is using actions. Now we have filters we talked about. Those are things that change the output of existing code, but otherwise spit out the code. Actions are actually things that change or modify or add on to, is the best way to say it, other functions or other instructions. And here, what we're doing is saying, look, we've got a function here in this plugin called the Display Lab Custom Fields function. And this has a set of instructions, including, hey, get the user ID, get their profile information, make some buttons, blah, blah, blah. We could go ahead and now shoot that out anywhere we want onto what's called a hook. What is a hook? I've talked about this before. A hook is literally a place inside of various plugins or inside of a parent theme that it's just like a hallway hook for hanging your coat. It says, hey, put your winter coat right here. Hey, hang up your lab smock here. Hang up your whatever there. It's an identifiable place inside of the output of the markup that you can put something else. And when you add an action that hooks onto one of these hooks, you can then take the output of that particular function and via the action, hang it up on the hook. So let's literally walk through it. Here's our function, Display Lab Custom Fields. In this action, we're saying what we want to do is find the place where the WooCommerce before my account hook exists, and I want to run the Display Lab Custom Fields function. I want to output this stuff here. And what's cool about that, and this is how Genesis does work, or Thesis, is that this means we can do all this from one location as long as we know where that's at. And I've often said, you know, that's kind of powerful, but tricky, because you just got to know where this stuff exists. Well, how do we find it? The easiest way to find it is to just explore. So for example, with WooCommerce, we're fortunate because if we look inside of what we just identified, the WP Content plugins, WooCommerce, we know to dig around in the templates area, right? We know the My Account has some interesting stuff to explore. Let's open up the My Account PHP file and see what we see. And as we scroll down, we see, oh, look at this. There's a bunch of interesting, look like PHP kind of mumbo jumbo things. Well, guess what these are? These are actual templates or includes, but in the process of that happening, these actually also offer up the chance to be hooks. So whenever you see the words PHP do action, that is a sign that you have found a hook. We got a hook here called WooCommerce before my account. We got another hook here called WooCommerce after my account. So you'll notice that I chose the before my account, and that means that it's going to hang that code right at this place on the My Account page of the default WooCommerce. And we can see that's what's happening. Just to prove a point, let's reload the page. Let's see what happens if we move it to after. Because we got two hooks available, right? We've got the before and after my account. Let's move it to the after my account and see what it does. I bet you can't guess. No, I bet you can't. Ta-da! See, it moved it from above the output of the My Account info to below it, which quite honestly is a nice place to leave it. I'm going to leave it there. I think I like that better. What other actions have we hooked onto? Well, we did the same thing here for the bbPress template after the user profile. And I showed you that to give you an example. Here's another plugin, bbPress. And if I was to go to bbPress, it has lots of nice little widgets, like a sidebar widget for login. And if I use that to get to my profile, there is a page that outputs the profile data. And it tells you how, what your role is, how many topics you have. It gives you a nice sidebar. I can modify all of this with CSS. But you'll notice that it also must have had a hook because I output the same stuff after the user profile. I don't know if this hook exists, I'm guessing, but watch what happens. Let's see if this exists. If there's a before hook, which I think there is, ta-da, it goes before it. Okay? Now, I can verify this by looking inside of the same idea we just talked about. You with me so far? W Content, Plugins, bbPress, you guessed it, Templates, Default. There's a lot of subfolders here. And now, bbPress actually doesn't follow as much of the rule I just told you about, because you don't have to go that deep with your subfolders. I'll show you. But here we have different templates, and one of them, as you can see, is probably the after user account. So let's look for something user account or user profile. Okay, and we can see here that we've got a user profile one. Let's take a peek. That might be interesting. So let's open it up, and we can see here, same idea. Do action, BBP template before user profile. Do action, BBP template after. There's two hooks right here. Okay, and so I chose the one that was after it, and it worked out pretty nice. Now that's easy because I didn't have to modify anything. If I was going to do the old school modification and I modified the template instead of using the action, well, how would I do it? Well, let's just review real quick while we're here. WP content, we have the themes, the child theme. I have a folder that I named BBPress, and this is what I just meant. BBPress, for some reason, they're different. I don't know what to tell you. They don't require you to have the subfolders like you just saw BBP default, blah, blah, blah. You can just go BBPress and then add, in this case, user profile. And that would allow you to modify it directly as well. Okay. Third method. You're getting tons of value. I told you waited 2 years for this. Maybe not 2 years, a year and a half. Third, how about a shortcode? Are you ready for some shortcode? What is a shortcode? Shortcode is a method that gives you the ability to output the functions, instructions, or in this case, the markup that it's outputting, into your post or page editor. And you can even use it inside of other templates if you use a little snippet of PHP called echo do shortcode. But as the basic output, what's nice here is that we've defined this, and we have two parameters. The first is we give it a name. So we named the default shortcode the lab custom fields. You can change this to whatever you want. And next is we say, what does it do? Which function does it apply to? And of course, it applies to our display custom fields, our lab custom fields. So it's outputting the same stuff via a shortcode with this name. And that's how we arrived at this whole setup here, where I put it into the default memberships level page. I edited the page like I showed you at the beginning. I added the shortcode. I can use this anywhere I want. I can even, if I want, make a brand new page and call it just my custom fields. Okay, put that in. Let's make that a full width page so it's nice and clean. Publish it. Let's see what we got. I bet you can't guess what we're going to get. Maybe you can. Look at that. Super clean. The basis for everything we did at 1WDTV was on the same concept. We built a template that holds a bunch of little components, each one of them in a separate navigation dropdown. And all these little components are doing the same thing that you're seeing here. Okay, so I think you can start to imagine now I can make a standard page template. I can put this output into there. I can do a navigation thing that lets me choose this, that, or the other, and swaps out various things. You see where we're going with this? Okay, now the beautiful thing is that these can be used inside of a template file, as I promised. So watch. If I was to take that shortcode, I can go to the My Account page, remember, and we can do a thing like we started with before at the top. Let's do it again. H2. Yo, this is a shortcode output below. Okay. Now, here's the special snippet. You say PHP, oops, let's do lowercase, echo do shortcode. And if I got my syntax right, and I think I do, this is basically a PHP way of taking a shortcode like this and putting it into a template. So if you were to just take this whole thing here and swap it out, you can use this for any other shortcode as well. Now let's look at our My Account page to see if it worked. And hold on one second. Let me make sure. I think I got it right. I always check myself. I'm almost 100% sure I've gotten the syntax right. Echo do shortcode, yes. Okay, so, let me see if I'm on the right page. My account. Let's save it. You know what the thing might be? Let me just double check. I think what might have happened is I don't have the actual one open from the live website. I think that's the only explanation I can think of. So let's go over here. And I think I opened it up from the plugin, and that's the problem. And the plugin is being overridden by the child theme. So let me just double check. It's funny, I don't mind leaving these things in here because I want you to understand, even though I've done this for so long, sometimes even I just sit here and I have to bang around a little bit. So it's okay. So I'm going to open it to my account. And indeed, I think that's the case. So let me resave it and now reload it. And if all goes well, we should see what we need to see here. And indeed, it did work. Okay, so what I had done is I had actually been showing you previously from the native plugin, but that was already overridden by my child theme. So now I've basically taken the shortcode, and I can use the shortcode even inside of another template. That gives me even more flexibility, and I recommend this is not a bad way to go, because if you've got a plugin that defines a function like this that outputs some HTML, it's far more efficient to just use a simple shortcode and echo it inside of a template than to just take this entire other block of code, and copy that over a second place, right? It's much more efficient. In another series of videos, I show you at 1WDTV how to do something called template parts. And template parts is really powerful. I'm not going to show you again here because that's where we would take things like this and save them as a template part. And then when we build new pages, we merely need to reference the simple little parts instead of going and repeating code blocks. Okay, so let's review what we've got. And let's see if we can bring this all home. So what I've shown you is how to actually create custom fields. And in order to do that, you're going to give people additional choices on the back-end dashboard in their contact info. And you can make as many as you want. I made dog and cat. The best way to handle this is to have a ready-to-use front-end page for a profile, which I show you can do by using bbPress and simply not repeating yourself, because then you've got a beautiful, elegant front page, and that's always the way to go. If you decide to do this, you might want to use an additional plugin, which I didn't think I mentioned to you. So there's a plugin right here in the WordPress repository called Hide the Admin Bar from All Not Admins, and this basically will keep people out of the back end. In addition, it will hide the admin bar, which is that thing over here that annoys everybody, right? Because if you don't want people to go to the dashboard, you don't want them to see edit my profile. When you use this, this allows you to have only front-end access. And again, that's how we do it at 1WDTV. You've got a front-end only access. You don't have to worry about going to the back end. We've shown you how to actually display the content in various places. So here, for example, you can show it inside of the default output for the bbPress profile page. Here I showed you how to use it with the WooCommerce plugin. I showed you how you can even put it on any of the templates for another plugin, Paid Membership Pro. I even showed you how to create a custom page where you can do it that way. Whichever way you do it, you can do that several methods. Number one method is to modify the template itself. Okay, so we can modify the template itself, and again, copying the template file from the plugin to the child theme. Number two is we can use the hooks and filters method. We could use the hooks method and go ahead and hook on to any place inside of either a plugin or a template itself. And finally, we've got a shortcode. And the shortcut allows us to not only put it inside the post editor or page editor, but we can also use that as a echo statement to put it even inside another template. And all of these work together so that you can build up a modular series of membership profile areas and fields, and then get as close as you want to the nirvana here. Now, I'm going to cover a lot of the stuff in these items in other videos, and I'm not promising this time it's going to be the next one up. But I assure you that part of what we built here is something we want to show you how to do as well. And we've figured out how to make all this work natively. So if you're excited about making cool stuff happen, just consider how easy it is. All you need to do today is to grab this plugin, and this plugin will give you all the code that you see here. Probably we're going to give it to you in a plugin. We'll also give it to you in a code snippet. When you go to 1WDTV, you're going to see this in a quick tip. And I just want to assure you that you need to join for free, because when you join for free, you're going to get the bonus material. So when you go to the bottom, you'll get the bonus material here. It'll have the code snippet, it'll have the additional reference links, and you only get that when you join us for free. But what a great benefit. Okay. Hopefully, those of you who waited since December find this tutorial was well worth it. The rest of you who just joined us, hopefully this gets you excited that it's super easy to build membership sites that are really cool and powerful without any real coding knowledge. You just need to know how to follow along with me teaching you little sort of phrases in Spanish, and we're going to have a nice vacation. This is Spence, the evil genius, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and one more thing. Please join and subscribe our YouTube channel. We found that many of you are not doing that, and you're asking us how to get more bonus stuff. When you subscribe here, this also lets you get other content at 1WDTV. So please subscribe. We appreciate it. And now, this is Spence, the evil genius. I'll see you next time.